It's me, your girl, Shay. Welcome to the Pottery Show, and today we are going to talk about the Black Hollywood. But before we get into that, you guys know I have to give you some tea or some trending topics or a check-in moment. And also, we have a special guest, up-and-coming director Britt Banks. She's a dear friend of mine, and we will join her later on in the show. Let's get to that chair. Hey guys, so before we get started into our interview with director Britt Banks, I want to talk about what has been going on in the world today. So because of the Black Lives Matter movement, it seems like Hollywood has shifted in giving more Black people and minorities more opportunity to get their voices out there, whether it's in acting, whether it's singing, whether it's directing film, producing film, and I am here for it, okay? So I'm going to join that train while it's trucking, if that makes sense. Anyway, guys, let's get into this interview with my girl Britt Banks, and let's see what she has to say about the Black Hollywood. So today on the Powder Room Show, I have director Britt Banks. You go by Britt Banks, right?
Yes.
Britt Banks. And she's a dear friend of mine, and she has decided to join us on this interview today. So I have a lot of questions for her, especially since the Black Lives Matter movement is going on. It has shifted Hollywood. So this episode is called Black Hollywood, and she is definitely an up-and-coming director, and I want to get her views on what's going on today. So hey, Britt, how are you?
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm doing so good. So let's just get right into it, girl. So what was your very first project?
My first project was a 19-minute short film that I wrote, directed, and produced back in 2015 titled Full Circle. And what inspired Full Circle was sexual assault and domestic violence. And it was derived from like personal stories as well as stories that were shared with me in my own process of healing.
Okay. So how did you know that you wanted to direct? Like, did all of a sudden come up? Were you always in back of your mind had that vision of you directing? Like, what's the deal?
No, so in 2014, I discovered that I wanted to be a screenwriter. And so I was chasing the craft of screenwriting, reading different people's screenplays, looking into mentorships, and deciding if I should go back to school so that I can, truly learn and hone the craft of screenwriting. And I happened to be in downtown Los Angeles. I was in one of the business buildings. I walked past a Starbucks, and there was a man sitting with two other individuals, and I just happened to glance over, and they were going over a script. So me being the courageous go-getter that I am, I walked over, and I was kind of nervous because I know you're not supposed to interrupt meetings, and they could have been really deep into a scene, but I just asked, I'm trying to get into screenwriting. I see that you're going over a script. I would like to know if there's any way that you could help me. And on the screenwriting portion, he didn't have so much input, but he told me that I could come to his set and just, see if it's something that I want to get into, like seriously. So I ended up volunteering for this guy for about 4 or 5 shoots as a production assistant on his set. And then because he remembered that I wanted to get into screenwriting, he reached out via email and sent over his scripts and, said, hey, read these. And then it went a step further. He said, and you may want to get into directing one day. So while I was on set, he had me mirror him in it, like basically an entire production.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool because I didn't have to do the traditional PA work during that time. And then going forward, I stuck with him, and he promoted me to production coordinator, and I started getting paid for the work. So that experience of shadowing him on set while he was directing his indie film, I think he had a budget of, I think it was like $75,000 or something like that, of that caliber. It was actually a really cool experience. And I was like, you know what? I want to also direct.
Okay. So. And that's funny that it's a good thing that you did take that courageous leap of faith at seeing him and his, colleagues going over their screenplay, because you would never got that experience if you didn't do that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Wow, that's amazing. So, a lot of people don't know that you have won a couple of film festival awards and whatnot. So, how did you feel when you won your first film award?
I was ecstatic. It was for actually my second short film, Thick. And back then, I wasn't too sure because I lacked the mentorship. I wasn't too sure what to do with these films. It's like, okay, I want to write and direct at this point, and I wasn't sure what to do next. So someone said, oh, enter them into a few film festivals. And at that time, I didn't even understand the magnitude of film festivals. Like, film festivals are a big deal. So I was entering them into a few local ones and a couple of big ones. I got into all of them. And when I started to win the awards, I was like, oh, they like my work. Okay. So I was glad that my film touched them emotionally and, visually the same as just what I wanted to convey. So that
And
felt
that
really good.
goes to prove too that I just believe that if you won those awards, you won't know how far you can really, it's like you have something here now. So it's like, let's pursue and go further.
Exactly.
Okay, so since the Black Lives Matter movement has changed has it changed for you as far as like opportunity? Have you found yourself in getting more opportunity because it's shifted a little bit, or is it still about the same?
Okay, so speaking personally, I don't feel like anything has materialized as far as opportunities go. That I've gained, but opportunities have presented themselves, yes, since the Black Lives Movement. Even if you're on Twitter, I'm not sure if it was as much on Instagram, but there's a huge community of screenwriters, of directors, of producers, and just all around filmmakers and people in entertainment on Twitter who were really making sure that they fostered an environment where Black individuals like myself who are creatives were in the know about a lot of things that we probably weren't aware of before as far as opportunities go. A lot of individual creatives and also networks were just giving out a lot of free stuff like Final Draft. There's a space that people go to in Los Angeles to just write and get away. It's full of writers, and someone sponsored some people there. So just those type of opportunities did present themselves, whereas before it wasn't necessarily hey, we're reaching out to Black people who may not have been invited or included into these spaces before. So I have seen those arise. Just, like I said, personally, I haven't climbed any mountains or anything yet, but that's okay because I'm still in my own personal journey.
And it's coming. It's coming. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of time, girl. So where do you see yourself in the next 10 years in the industry? Like, do you see yourself being far more, further along, or where do you see yourself?
Definitely. My goal at the moment is to master my crafts and kind of attack it from different angles. So I mentioned before that screenwriting was the first path, and then I got into directing and producing. And so since I didn't have the schooling, I pretty much had to do everything on my own as far as, just researching and grabbing screenplays and reading them, reaching out and things of that nature. And so right now, during the pandemic, I've taken the opportunity to really hone in on my craft. So I signed up for a class at UCLA. It's actually a certificate program for screenwriting, so I'm in their full feature screenwriting program. And I also signed up for a cinematography course. And that cinematography course, yeah, it taught me a lot because, it's one thing to direct, but I really want to get inside the mind of the DP also, the cinematographer who's actually shooting your film. And so it was a course through Made in Her Image, and it actually was, it was really beneficial. So after doing that, I feel like in the next 10 years, I will be a master and a pro at everything. Like I want to be the go-to. Like you can come to me and you can ask me questions. I want to definitely get into mentorship, and definitely continuing on this path and journey as a screenwriter and director.
This is a great segue because speaking of mentorship, you know, well, a lot of you guys don't know that that's something that I'm working on as far as directing and screenwriting, but I reached out to you and you have been very helpful. And that's one thing I like about people like yourself, because though you have a passion for it and you won awards for this and whatnot, you're not holding all the secrets. You want to help people. You want people to get ahead just like you. You want to see people succeed in the craft that they love or they're passionate about. So I definitely can attest to that. And I am a living witness that she is definitely a mentor. Like, I've called you about things, we've met about things. We're going to have a meeting in a couple of weeks. So I'm excited to see where your mentorship goes as far as even with me, you know, like how am I going to get to the next level with your mentorship? So it's going to be quite interesting to see how that's going to play out. So what advice would you give your 16-year-old self as far as like pursuing directing and screenwriting in this industry?
Well, to my 16-year-old self, specifically, I would tell her to always hold on to those passions, always hold on to those daydreams, and don't steer too far from the path, because I think that's why I came into knowing what it is that I wanted to do so late in life. Because I grew up, I think it was first or second grade, I had been doing monologue competitions, and then I went into speech and debate. I've always been in performing arts. I went to Amazing Grace Conservatory, the Actors Workshop, like all these hobbies, these side hobbies that I was doing because I was always passionate about theater, always passionate about performing. And I let it go, honestly, after high school. I think it was in the Actors Workshop in Los Angeles for a couple more years, and then that was it. Because in my head I thought, you know what, you got to focus. You're in college, you need to focus on your your degree and get a job. But I'd always still be daydreaming about being on somebody's stage, or performing some monologue or some poem. I mean, it doesn't matter. I can tell you, it doesn't matter where I was at least once a day, that was a daydream of mine. And so if I had taken it more seriously, if someone took me to the side and said, whatever it is that's going to lead you to where it is that you really need to get to, your side hobbies sometimes can lead you to your full-time careers, so you never know what it is that will get you there.
And I think because we have a church background with our parents growing up in church or being in church, it just, when it comes to the Hollywood industry, it's just so it's looked at as something negative, where it could be something so much more than that. It could be something very positive. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why those dreams were not as fostered as much. So going back to the Black Lives Matter movement, do you think you will see more Black directors and Black actresses and actors on the screen from all of this? Because it seems like people are jumping on the bandwagon of hiring more African Americans because of what's going on.
Definitely. I actually follow someone, and she's very spiritual, and she said that she just envisioned like a surge of Black creatives in the summer of 2021. And I thought, well, I need to get on that train. So I definitely see that a lot more of our stories will be front and center, told how we want them to be told. That's so important. I think that we've seen stories, we've seen Black stories told before, we've seen African American stories told before, and they were told through the lens of a white person,
right.
of a white screenwriter or a white director.
Right.
And the complaints, they've been heard, they've been written, and they've been heard, and they've been ignored. So I think that going forward, we'll definitely be able to, really come into ourselves in the industry.
Absolutely, absolutely. So my thing is, what are you working on next? I didn't send this question to you. I'm just coming on top of the dome. But what are you working on next? What are you doing? Are you using this time in the pandemic to just sit back and write and just like you said, learn more of your craft, or are you working on a new project? What's going on with you?
Yeah, I've really been using this time to learn and to cultivate, what I'm passionate about, what it is that I'm working towards. I think that I don't want to just be thrown out there and then try and gather experience and on to the next, on to the next. And I feel like a lot of people rush through the experience and then rush through the journey. And it's truly a journey. Like some things may happen for people overnight, but what is overnight truly to us? I feel like we don't see people really grinding and in their silent moments and working. Some people have been working for 5 to 10 years, and then we see them and we think that, this happened overnight. So definitely during this time, I'm learning more. And like I said, trying to master what it is that I'm doing. And in doing so, writing, because of course, taking the screenwriting classes and perfecting that, it's allowing me to have a lot of fresh ideas flowing. And so currently I'm writing and working on perfecting my craft I have a camera at home. So I've been filming things and just trying to get it to the level where other people can hire me to film for them because that would be amazing. And specifically working on 2 feature film scripts right now and a pilot script for TV.
Okay. That sounds interesting. I really hope that God opens that door for you as far as the opportunity for these projects, especially like the pilot and whatnot. It's just really good to go after it and not be afraid. And one thing that I like about our generation is that as bad as they talk about us millennials, we definitely go after it though. Like we're very innovative and we do go after. We're smart in a sense in other ways that the other generations didn't do. Like we're all about entrepreneurship and business and things like that. So it's just really good to see people following their dreams and what they are really passionate and love about. Because my thing was, I'm gonna just say this, a few years ago, I had like a little breakdown because I'm at a cubicle at work and I'm like, it has to be more to life than this cubicle. Like, guys, like you said, you were dreaming about being on stage and doing monologues and poetry. I always had visions of me hosting award shows and being a talk show host and all of that, or owning my own network. And I'm like, I wasn't born to do this. It has to be more to life than just this, So it's good, though we found it late in life, but it's also great that we found it and now we're working towards it. So, I mean, I'm excited to see what the next, like you said, it's a journey, but what the next phase of our journey is going to be, and who's to say in 10 years, I'm going to look back on this interview like, I interviewed her before anybody see. Okay, so when will people see you and I working together?
Well,
because I'm claiming it.
Yeah, I claim it, definitely. I know that, everyone has ideas and things of the nature, and you have some pretty great ideas actually that are cooking up right now. So I totally plan to connect with you more, and hopefully we can come up with a plan, whether it's, working together on the writing portion of your ideas or the producing portion and going forth, or just connecting, with each other and networking,
Right.
Either way, we're going to work together in the near future and definitely in the far future.
So last but not least, what can you, or this is a part of the show, I do like little show shout outs and whatnot. Is there anybody that you want to shout out who has helped you along your journey? Somebody who has been there along the way through the tears and through the victories? Is there a deserving person that you want to give a little shout out to as far as getting you to this place or helping you get to this place?
I would say 3 people. I know you said 1, but 1, I would say my best friend, Yasmin. she actually, you know, when I told her this is what I wanted to do, she stepped up like completely. She was everything on my very first short film. She acted in it. She helped out on set. She was running around trying to take care of everything, make sure, you know, we had everything. And she was also doing a lot of referring too. So she's been there like pretty much for every project and just always say, hey, do you need a hand, or is there anything I can do? The second person would be my producer, Richard. And he really stood out to me because he was there also on my very first project, but he was so patient and so kind. And that meant a lot to me because it was my first project and I was asking a lot of questions. Yeah. And you know, you want to get on set as a director. Like, I wrote the script, but and I paid for everything, but in the directing shoes, I thought it was going to be one thing, and then I was like, oh wait, hold on. But he treated me with such respect, just the same. He's been on every single project that I've worked on. He's extremely resourceful. He will, I mean, he does home improvements and set design, and he really does bring everything that I need to life for my sets. And the third person is, his name is Justin Henry, and he's DP'd a few of my projects. He works with Issa Rae. He's out of Inglewood. He's truly amazing too. I love his expertise, his knowledge, his respect. I've heard horror stories of people working with women on set, you know, where women don't feel respected, or you know, just a bad experience.
Right.
And yeah, I really do appreciate Justin for, like I said, his wealth of knowledge and his respect of me. And yeah, I think those three.
Well, I'm sure those people are feeling the exact same way as you, and I know they know have a level of professionalism, and that goes a long way, you know, because you want, especially in the Hollywood industry, so people have a bad name and have this diva reputation, like you said, and it's good that that you feel that way, and hopefully they feel the exact same way about you. But I just want to thank you so much for joining us on Powder Room Show and giving us your perspective of what's going on in the industry and giving us a little history about yourself. And I hope that this is not the last time, maybe in seasons to come after, you know, LaShae get that Emmy. You can come back on the show and, you know, share some new projects that we were watching on Netflix or on ABC or whatever network decides to pick that. I'm claiming that for you. I'm praying for you, and I'm there with you. And I want to say thank you so much for joining me. It was greatly appreciated for you to do this interview with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, on that note, guys, I want to say thank you guys so much. And once again, thank you, Director Britt Banks, for joining us. And we will see you guys later. Bye.